Okay, so sorry everybody for that, that little blip. Facebook wouldn't let me do do the presentation in there. I couldn't live stream for some reason. So we'll just do it here and I will post it back in the group later. So today we're going to be talking about what food you need to eat to lose your belly fat for good, how to eat well and not break the bank. I know food is very expensive right now for most people all over the world. And I'm going to tell you the products that I put in my cart every week and give you some grocery shopping tips and tricks. So, can you relate? Constant cravings. Are you constantly reaching for processed and sugary foods that are sabotaging your health and your weight loss efforts? Confusion. Are you overwhelmed by conflicting diet advice and confused by all of the low fat, no fat, gluten free, vegan, diet, keto, and health foods at the grocery store? And do you have guilt and regret? Are you caught up in the cycle of making crappy food choices, feeling guilty afterward, trying to get back on track, and then repeating the cycle over and over again? So if you are feeling any of those things, don't beat yourself up too much. It's really not all your fault. We really do live in a toxic food environment. So when you go to the grocery store and you see all kinds of prepackaged foods, it's really a toxic food environment. It's all food that's made by the food industry to get you addicted, to want you to eat more, and to not really be able to stop. And that's what processed foods are. So, I mean, if you're constantly craving sugary stuff and chips and crackers and all these wonderful, food inventions that the food industry has made up and put on grocery store shelves, then that's not really your fault. Those foods are actually engineered to make you crave them, to make you want them, and to make you eat more of them. So, good food choices really lead to no more cravings. You can see this guy on the left. His name is Dan. He was a client of mine who lost almost 100 pounds at age 60. Um, and he really did that by making the right food choices. So when you make the right food choices, you won't have any cravings anymore. So just imagine you walk right by the junk food aisle because you don't have any cravings. I mean, obviously that's the goal. And no more confusion. Picture yourself choosing healthy options that help you achieve your weight loss goals and optimize your health instead of options that keep you stuck in a cycle of giving into your cravings and guilt. And then, food choices should really lead to no more guilt. Just imagine yourself eating healthy meals that taste great, make you feel satisfied and full. That's one of the most important things. And that's something that my clients always say is that they feel full. They don't feel hungry. It's really, really important to know that if you're picking the right foods, if you're on the right weight loss program, if you're putting your health first, you should not feel hungry. You should feel full. And you won't have to feel guilty because you know you're giving your body optimal nutrition when you choose the right foods. So, for those of you who don't know me, I know a couple people on here don't know me. My name is Trina Rise. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist and I'm an expert in men's weight loss and nutrition. I'm a founder of the Belly Fat Fix, which is a 16-week online weight loss program for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I switched my practice to work exclusively with men over 40 after watching my best friend David struggle with weight loss in his early 50s. And here he was in his early 50s. He was starting to gain a lot more weight. He was gaining breast tissue and weight around his midsection. He was very active. He hiked a lot. He walked. He did yoga. And he really just couldn't lose weight. And he was eating healthy whole foods, but there were some underlying issues. So I really helped him figure those things out. This is him a year after we worked together. Obviously, a lot slimmer and able to maintain his weight and his energy levels. So he's really the guy who made me start working with men over 40. So where to start? That is the question. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. So the secret of getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming tasks into small, manageable tasks and starting on the first one. And that's a quote by Mark Twain. It's a really good quote. It's a quote that I use to get things started in my own life. But one thing that you need to understand is sometimes, if you're 100 pounds or 50 kilos overweight or even more, it can feel really, really overwhelming to get started. And it can seem really, really complicated. But breaking down that complicated problem of carrying around a lot of extra weight, of suffering with chronic health problems, really needs to be broken down into small, manageable tasks. And the first one that I suggest people start with is their nutrition, because one of the basic building blocks of health, the basic building block of health, is what you put in your mouth. Okay. So I'm going to go over the things that are in my grocery cart and the things that are in my clients' grocery carts. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. I remember one time I was sitting at a barbecue and I was talking with this one guy, and he was like, he was trying to lose weight and he was doing all these crazy diets. And I said, just eat whole food. And he said to me, he's like, what even is whole food? Because he's like, if I go and get a pizza, that's whole food, isn't it? It's made with flour, it's made with cheese, it's made with meat. Like, isn't that a whole food? So when I say whole food, I just mean like the basic sort of building blocks of food. Like, it came from an animal, it came from the ground, and so you've got meat, you've got vegetables. Yes, grains also come from the ground, but really reducing your amount of grain is a good idea. So, what I basically tell people to start with is protein. I've got all kinds of nicknames. If any of my clients are watching right now, they're going to know what those are. Protein OG, Protein Queen. There are a couple other ones I won't mention here because they're a little off color, but really you need to focus on good quality protein. In my experience working with men need to eat animal protein to thrive. So things like beef, bison, pork. If you're in Australia, I know some of my Australian clients eat kangaroo, chicken, bacon, shrimp, crab, and fish, either canned or fresh. Those are all really good. And then we have dairy. So if you don't have any issues with dairy, you can eat butter and sour cream, plain Greek yogurt, good quality cheese. Eggs are also really good. So those are things that we have in our house all the time. Those are things that I always have in my fridge. We always have protein accessible. We definitely always have eggs. I have a husband and two boys, and they eat a lot of eggs. My 8-year-old, eats probably at least 3 for breakfast every morning. So the next thing that we really focus on, not only in my family, but in my program and with my clients, are vegetables. We have onions, garlic, lettuce and spinach, Swiss chard, kale, collard greens, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, peppers. Really, when I say vegetables, there are so many. You may have vegetables that are native to the place where you live. If you're in Australia and New Zealand, you may have some different stuff than we do have here. Vegetables are vegetables, but one really, really important distinction between vegetables is that some are non-starchy and some are starchy. So if I say fill your plate half vegetables, you don't want to fill your plate with half a plate of starchy vegetables. So starchy vegetables, some of them are potato, sweet potato, yams, squash, like pumpkin, beets, and corn. So I know, for example, I know a few people are like, but corn's a vegetable. So they have a half a plate of corn, but corn is actually one of the starchiest vegetables. It has just as much starch as if you have rice, if you have bread. It's very, very starchy. So it's really, really important to understand that some vegetables are starchy and some vegetables are not. So generally speaking, your green vegetables, oh, I put a tomato here and that's not really a vegetable. Anyway, tomato's kind of a fruit. but that doesn't matter. Um, Sorry, I've regressed. Anyway, starchy vegetables are carbs, and so are regular vegetables. But all carbohydrates have different levels of carbs. So non-starchy vegetables have the lowest amount. Starchy vegetables have a higher amount, and then grains have an even higher amount. Grains like wheat, rice, quinoa, those sorts of things. Beans and lentils as well, they're very, very starchy. So they're healthy, but they're full of starch. So usually we do have potatoes, sweet potatoes, peas, all these sorts of things at my house. But when you are making up a plate for yourself, you're going to want to make sure that starch stays only in a quarter of your plate. So yes, do buy them. They're very, very good for you. They're healthy, but it's really, really important that you eat them in moderation. Excuse me. Um, the next thing is fruit. There's a lot of misinformation about fruit. So we definitely do have fruit in my house. I have kids, and kids really don't care about how many carbs they eat and how much sugar they eat. But when I'm talking to my clients and for myself, I usually limit fruit that I eat to fruits that have sort of a lower sugar content, like raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, cranberries. Those all have very low sugar content. And when you're carrying extra weight, you have something called insulin resistance. And the most important thing, really, when you're trying to lose that weight is to keep your blood sugar as low as possible. So your body really doesn't distinguish between having a piece of fruit and having chocolate cake. It's still sugar. So your body will react in the same way. And if you have insulin resistance, then your body really just can't process sugar effectively, and your body will end up storing it as fat. So we really do try to limit really sugary fruits. You can see here I have green bananas. I'll have a little note about bananas a little bit later. It is kind of an ongoing joke with my clients and I, but really, really ripe bananas are not very good if you're trying to lose weight. They're like sugar bombs. I did put some dried prunes up here. Dried fruit in general is quite high in sugar, but prunes can be really, really effective to help you have regular bowel movement every single day, which is really, really important when you're trying to lose weight. So, and also just you'll feel better if you have a bowel movement every day. So having a couple prunes is highly recommended if your bowels are not moving. And then you can see here Granny Smith apples, kiwi, and papaya. Those are all also lower in sugar. Another low sugar fruit would be cantaloupe and grapefruit. Those are also good. Oranges as well. The other thing that I always buy are nuts and seeds. I mean, there are all kinds of nuts. Better if they're, unsalted or lightly salted. Things like walnuts, macadamia nuts, pecans, almonds, and then for seeds, pumpkin seeds are really high in zinc. Those are really good for your immune system. But for men, zinc is really good for testosterone production. So that's a really good one to add into your diet. Sunflower seeds, hemp seeds are very high in protein, and chia seeds are very high in fiber. So those are all really, really good things to add into your grocery cart or to your shopping routine. Okay, here it is. A word about bananas. So this picture will show you and explain to you why you should not eat an overripe banana. So on the left-hand side over here, you have underripe. So essentially a green banana, which is a great source of prebiotics for gut health. Then you have a barely ripe banana, which is a little bit green still, and that's high fiber and lower in sugar. Then when it's ripe, it has high antioxidant levels and a decent fiber content. But when it's very ripe, and you can see here, if it has brown spots on it, it has the lowest vitamin and mineral content. So at this point, very ripe or overripe, the banana actually has a very, very high amount of sugar and the lowest amount of fiber. So it's really not good for you anymore. And if you're trying to lose weight, it can really it can really impede your progress if you're trying to lose weight. So please, 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 if you are going to eat a banana, just eat it underripe. And if you don't like them underripe and you only like them very ripe, just stop eating them altogether. Just at least for now, at least while you're trying to lose weight, please. Okay, that was a note about bananas. So we're talking about whole foods. You think about fresh, obviously, you always think about fresh foods. Um, but there are some packaged foods that are whole foods that are good for weight loss. They're really foods that I suggest people buy. So packaged items are things like olives, coffee, pickles, spices. There's some almond butter on here. Canned tomatoes are also a good one. Things like sauerkraut, mustard, coconut oil, salsa. So, you know, use your better judgment and read labels. If you're buying things that are packaged, you're buying, you know, I mean, you can buy pickles most of the time if you like sort of sour pickles, they're not going to have sugar, but the sweet pickles have a lot of added sugar. So it's really important just to read the labels to see what's in it. Okay, so if you want, I have PDF. I have these PDFs, one of the grocery shopping lists that I just went over, and I also have a grocery shopping tips PDF. So all of the stuff that I'm going over basically in this training, I have in PDF form. So if you would like to have a PDF sort of cheat sheet for all of this stuff, then just let me know. And you can let me know in the comments. Excuse me, I'm not sure why I'm coughing so much. You can let me know in the comments of the Zoom if you're watching now, if you want these PDFs, but also if you're watching this in the Facebook group after I post the training later, then you can also just comment PDF in the comments of the video in the group, and I will get it to you probably tomorrow because it'll be late when I finish. Sorry, I'm coughing a fair bit. My allergies are a bit bad. So here we go. 8 grocery shopping tips. Number 1, never go to the grocery store hungry. Never, ever, ever go to the grocery store hungry. I really mean this. Have a solid meal before you go out shopping every single time. So when I say solid meal, I mean a meal that has protein, healthy fat, fiber, and healthy carbs. But most importantly, have protein before you go grocery shopping. You really, really, really want stable blood sugar when you're shopping because if your blood sugar, for example, is dipping really low, that's going to make your body crave stuff. And if you're at the grocery store and your blood sugar's low and you're craving every single thing you see, you're going to end up buying it. So never go to the grocery store hungry. I cannot emphasize that enough. Grocery shopping tip number 2, be prepared. So you're really going to want to make a list and have a plan before you leave the house. Keep a list on your fridge or somewhere easy to see and access. So when something's finished during the week or before you go to the store, you can write it down so you don't forget to buy it. You don't want to be at the grocery store every single day. Okay. You want to make a list. You want to have a plan and you want to go to the grocery store with that plan. Because if you don't have a plan, you are going to end up buying stuff that is not on your list. Okay. You're going to impulse buy. Whereas if you go with a plan, you can tell yourself before you go that you're not going to buy items that are not on the list. So just be prepared. Go grocery shopping with a list, you know, have a sort of rough idea of the meals that you're going to eat for the week, the things that you need, so that you can make sure that you get everything in one go and that you're not going back and forth to the grocery store. Okay, number 3, shop the perimeter. This is like not anything you've probably never heard before. Every single health coach and nutritionist is going to tell you the same thing. Stick to the perimeter of the store and skip the inner aisles unless absolutely necessary. So think about it. When you go into a grocery store, the perimeter is what? It's vegetables, fruit, fresh produce, meat, cheese, fish, you know, dairy, all that stuff. All of those things are along the perimeter usually. Okay. You're going to have frozen vegetables and fruits on one side. You're going to have milk products, meat, and you're going to have baked goods, which you can for sure skip. You can skip that. That's in the perimeter, but you may as well skip that too. But the perimeter, as a general rule, is for the most part not highly processed food. So you'll need to pick up a few things from the aisles, like we just talked about in the grocery. Like when I was telling you what I usually buy, you're going to have to go into the aisles for things like coffee, canned tomatoes, canned fish, olives, olive oil, pickles, and sauerkraut, stuff like that. But for the most part, you want to skip it. You want to try to buy whole, fresh foods. Okay, number four. Number four grocery shopping tip is read the labels. You would be extremely surprised by how much sugar is in stuff, and also how much sodium, how many, crappy ingredients. Just read the labels. And in the PDF with grocery shopping tips, I give lists of, all of the sort of chemicals and ingredients that you should avoid. So again, if you're watching in the Facebook group after I've done this, or if you're watching live right now, just put PDF and I'll send that to you after I'm done. So really just focus on reading the labels. This is something I do with my clients all the time. It's really important. How much sugar does a product have? How much fiber does a product have? Does it have unhealthy fats? Are there unhealthy food additives on the label? Does it contain artificial sweeteners? Just read the labels, be educated, purchase in an educated way. It's important. Okay, tip number 5 is to consider convenience. If you don't have the time or the inclination to cut up vegetables, you can buy them cut up already. Like if that's going to be the difference between you eating vegetables and not eating vegetables, buy a tray, like a pre-cut up tray of veggies, like a party tray or something like that. Or, you can buy pre-washed boxes of lettuce, the baby lettuce or baby spinach, baby arugula, baby greens, bags of coleslaw. You can get mushrooms sliced and washed already. If you really don't have time or you find it hard to do meal prep, just buy things ready to eat. You can buy a lot of fresh food ready to go. So really consider buying, whole food convenience foods just to, give yourself a little bit of extra help in this department. So grocery shopping tip number 6 is don't buy junk food. If you buy it, you'll probably eat it. Okay, so this doesn't mean that you can never ever have junk food, but if it's in your house, it's going to be a disaster. Like for me, I love chocolate. I love chocolate covered almonds. And if it's in my house, I will eat it, even if it's dark chocolate. I'll say, oh, well, I'll just have a square, but that'll be after breakfast. And then after lunch, I'll be like, well, I'll just have a couple more squares. And it just goes on and on. So honestly, if you have junk food in the house, if you have sweets in the house, if you have processed food in the house, the likelihood is that you're going to eat it. Like if you're relaxing at the end of the day, if you're sitting in front of the TV, or even if you're watching one of my, training sessions in the evening and you have 3 bags of chips and a bag of chocolate covered almonds in your pantry, there's a really good chance that you're going to get up and you're going to have a handful, which is going to lead to more, which is going to lead to more. Whereas if you don't have it in the house, the likelihood of you actually getting dressed, getting in your car, and going to a convenience store, going to a store to buy it is a lot less likely. So just don't buy it in the first place. Okay, shopping tip number 7 is buy what you can afford. So sometimes you're probably going to hear like, you need to buy all grass-fed meat, you need to buy organic, that's the only way that you can be healthy. And this is just not true. One of the things that I say a lot is good enough. And it is. Like in a perfect world, we would all be able to grow our own vegetables. We'd all be able to afford, all grass-fed, pasture-raised, all organic produce and meat. I can't personally afford that. I have a family of 5. It's extremely expensive. So just really focus on whole foods. Yeah, meat's expensive. Yes, produce can be expensive. But if you're only buying whole food and you stop buying processed food, you'll come to realize that it's actually the same cost. Like my 16-year-old wanted me to buy him 2 bags of Doritos the other week, and I was at the store and it was like 3.98 for one bag. So for $8, I could get 2 bags of Doritos, which are absolute garbage. And for the same price, I can get a pack of mixed ground beef and ground pork, like family pack, on sale for the same price. So you need to think about it that way. People are like, oh, that like meat's expensive or healthy food's expensive. Well, pound for pound, actually, it is not as expensive as buying processed food. So please just focus on getting whole food. Start cutting out things like chips and ice cream and stuff like that and pre-made foods. Just focus on whole foods. That's really one of the best ways to keep your grocery bill in check. Um, is if you just buy whole food and you just stop buying processed food completely. Because the reality is, even if it is slightly more expensive to buy whole food, um, the cost to your health for, not only for your health, but for your pocketbook of buying processed food is huge. It just definitely, it's way more of a cost to eat crappy processed food than it is to eat whole food. Okay. I know one of my clients is watching right now. He's not going to like this tip because he hates canned fish. But my number 8 tip is buy canned fish. Canned fish is a great source of protein if you like it. So, you can choose from things like herring, mackerel, sardines, wild salmon, smoked mussels, smoked oysters, and you can also have tuna, but you should really not eat tuna more than once a week. It's high in mercury, and the recommendation across the board from medical professionals, nutritionists, dietitians, everybody is that you really only eat it once a week because of the mercury. So, canned fish is, if you like it, and it's really, really easy. It's just a really easy, fast source of high quality protein. You don't have to cook it. All you have to do is open a can. You can look on the side and see exactly how much protein is in it. Um, and yeah, it's just really, really easy. And it's actually also relatively inexpensive. So just make sure when you're buying canned fish, choose products that are packaged in water instead of oil, unless it's olive oil. You don't want things like canola oil. You don't want things like soy oil. You just want to make sure it's water or olive oil. And also, if you have high blood pressure or you're worried about sodium, just watch the sodium content as well. Normally, when they're packed in water and they're just plain like sardines packed in water, you're not going to have high sodium. But for things like smoked mussels and smoked oysters, the sodium content might be a bit higher. Okay, so I'm going to just tie in why your food choices are extremely important when you are trying to lose belly fat in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, because it's really, really important. Okay, like I said before, you have to break down this huge goal of losing weight into smaller pieces, and the smallest piece you can break it down to is the food that you eat. Okay, so let's talk about it. Um, 4 things that are keeping your weight stuck if you're a man in your 40s, 50s, and 60s are muscle mass, your hormones, your metabolism, and inflammation. So those are the 4 things that are keeping your weight stuck. If you make the right food choices will increase your muscle mass, balance your hormones, power up your metabolism, reduce inflammation, and get your weight unstuck. So, all of the things that are keeping your weight stuck as an older man can be fixed by the food that you choose to eat. Okay. Then the 4 pillars really of the belly fat fix weight loss method. So the program that I run, which is 16 weeks long, the 4 pillars are muscle mass, hormones, metabolism, and inflammation. And I help my clients fix those four things by helping them make the right food choices. The right food choices are the most important thing when it comes to weight loss. It's not exercise more. It's not lift weights 6 days a week. It's the food that you're putting in your mouth. Okay, you can do whatever you want, but if you are not making the right food choices, you are going to have problems. Okay, the only way to fix your muscle mass, hormones, metabolism, and inflammation in your body are by the foods that you eat. And really, the main reason why my clients lose weight and keep it off for good is because they learn what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat to balance their blood sugar. And when blood sugar is balanced, muscle mass increases, hormones become balanced, metabolism strengthens, and inflammation decreases. And so you can see on this blood sugar chart, hopefully if you're watching on a phone, you may have a hard time seeing it. So you could just put chart in the chat and I can send it to you if you would like to see it closer up. But you can see in this chart that having stable blood sugar in the middle here means that your body will release fat, protect your lean muscle, you will have fewer cravings and increased energy. Okay, whereas if you have too many calories or carbs per meal, your blood sugar will spike and your body will store fat. The opposite can also happen if you skip a meal, restrict calories or carbs, or exercise on an empty stomach. Your blood sugar might drop. Okay, and if your blood sugar drops, your body will get it back up. But when it drops, your body will burn muscle and hold on to fat. Your energy will crash and you will have increased cravings. So really the key is to keep your blood sugar stable, and you have to do that with the foods you eat. There is no other way to have balanced, stable blood sugar than to eat properly, to make the right food choices. So I'll just dive into one quick example. This is a client that I mentioned earlier, Dan. He was age 59 when he started working with me. His blood sugar was unbalanced. He had type 2 diabetes. His cravings were through the roof, low energy. He was unhappy with his body, aches and pains, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. He was carrying an extra 100 pounds, as you can see here. And, obviously, the weight is distributed, but as you guys know, for men, the weight is largely in the stomach, your belly fat. So he was working at that time as a miner, living 2 weeks at camp and 2 weeks at home. So, which one sounds easier? Dan was trying to lose weight on his own. He was trying diet after diet, calorie counting, calorie restriction, keto. He was losing weight and gaining it back. He was struggling with type 2 diabetes and cravings. He had unbalanced blood sugar. And then he started working with me and he started following a simple, proven method. He learned what, how, and when to eat to balance his blood sugar. No calorie counting, no complicated diet, no killing himself at the gym. He had no cravings. He didn't have to starve himself. He just had proper nutrition, and he got that proper nutrition from simple whole foods at the grocery store. So Dan's now off medication for type 2 diabetes, off his cholesterol medication, his blood pressure medication. He's lost almost 100 pounds. And I want to say that Dan actually never followed a rigid meal plan. He fit his strategies really into a hectic work schedule as a miner. He had to eat at camp 2 weeks out of the month, so he was eating what somebody else prepared. But also, he just didn't like using a meal plan. So you can really take the strategies that I teach inside the Belly Fat Fix or with my private clients. You can take those strategies and you can just fit them into your normal life. It's not stressful. So food choices really are the key to transforming your body and losing weight for good. So look at this example. If you pay no attention to what, how, and when you eat, your blood sugar spikes and your body will store that sugar as fat. Okay, and blood sugar really is the key to losing weight. The key to lasting weight loss is balanced blood sugar. The key to balancing your blood sugar is food. Blood sugar is regulated by the foods you choose to eat. That's food that your 40, 50, or 60-year-old body needs. And you do this by changing what, how, and when you eat food in a long-term eating approach. It has to be long-term. It has to be sustainable. It can't be like keto. It can't be like some diet where you're restricting calories that you can't keep doing, because as soon as you stop, you will gain that weight back and likely more. So men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s really need to eat to balance their blood sugar, not eat less, not exercise more. The focus needs to be balancing your blood sugar. Okay. So the building blocks of what you eat are protein, fats, and carbs. They're one digests slowly, protein, fats digest slowly, carbs digest quickly. So you really want to combine those three things together at every single meal. Those are the building blocks. You can get all of those things from Whole Foods. You need to combine them properly together so that your blood sugar stays stable. Okay, so fiber-rich foods will give you energy. Really, they'll balance blood sugar and balance your hormones. Okay, so you really, really need to focus on the food that you eat. The foods that you eat are essential. They're the most important thing that you can do. So, exercising is not going to cut it. I talk to people all the time who are exercising all the time, and it just doesn't cut it. Okay, so you can take a look here about how food affects blood sugar, and it's going to show you. So if you have a carbohydrate such as bread, rice, cereal, pasta, starchy vegetables, which we talked about at the beginning, things like potato, sweet potato, peas, corn, fruit, sugar, honey, milk, yogurt, you can see here, your blood sugar level is going to go sky high. Okay. And then if you eat protein, which is this one here, the dotted line, meat, fish, cheese, and eggs, your blood sugar won't spike quite as much. And fat hardly spikes your blood sugar at all. So the key really is if you combine those three things, that your blood sugar won't spike as much. All food you eat will make your blood sugar elevated. You just want to keep the level of your blood sugar stable and as low as possible, especially when you're trying to lose weight. But not just for when you're trying to lose weight. Even if you're worried about your health, if you don't want to get cancer, if you don't want chronic illness, keeping your blood sugar stable is the key to having health long term. Keeping your blood sugar stable means your insulin levels are low, which means you're going to have better health. Okay, so what you need for lasting weight loss as a man in your 40s, 50s, and 60s is this. By changing how, when, and what you eat, you can influence how your body responds to food and balance your blood sugar. And when you do this, the weight will start coming off and it will stay off. So that's what I do inside my program, The Belly Fat Fix. You will learn exactly what your older male body needs to lose stubborn weight for good. So you can have lots of energy and you can have optimal health as you age. You can regain confidence in your ability to achieve sustainable weight loss by experiencing consistent results. I talk to a lot of people who have really been through the ringer when it comes to weight loss. They've lost weight, they've gained it back, they've lost it again. Their weight's fluctuating between 10, down 10 kilos, up 10 kilos, which is, down 10 pounds or 20 pounds, up 10 or 20 pounds. Okay, so getting consistent results and feeling better, noticing positive changes in your body will really help you regain confidence in your ability to achieve sustainable weight loss. Then the next thing is to get support and accountability. So you can have someone to help you get over the rough patches and remind you that sustainable weight loss takes time. Inside the Belly Fat Fix, I am basically your main support person, although you do have support and accountability from all the other guys in the program. But really, I am dedicated to you getting results. I'm very results driven. I will make sure that you are doing what you need to do to lose the weight. I will also make sure that you stay the course, because I know sometimes it can get discouraging. A lot of my clients get discouraged and I have to tell them, like, hey, this took you 30 years, it took you 30 years to make this much of a mess of your body. It's not going to take 3 weeks to fix it. You shouldn't expect that. So really having support and accountability is one of the most important things that I think people need to have when they're trying to lose weight long term, because it does take time. If you're doing it in a holistic, sustainable way, it takes time. It takes time for your body to rebalance. It takes time for your muscle mass to fix itself and your hormones to fix themselves. It just takes time. And then, really, this program is meant to show you how to maintain your results long term. And you don't have to feel deprived or restricted. I have lots of clients who, still go, you know, go to games on the weekend and have some beer, and you know who you are if you're watching. No, but really, you still should be able to have a piece of cake at your kid's birthday or go out for a few beers with the guys once in a while, and maintain your weight. It's 100% possible. I go off the rails sometimes too, more, mostly with chocolate cake on birthdays, but not beer. But anyway, you should really be able to go and do those things and still be able to have a healthy weight. That's normal. That's when your metabolism is working well. Okay. And you should be able to go away on vacation and gain a few pounds and then lose it when you get home. That's a more normal way of of being than, going away for a weekend and eating and gaining 8 pounds and not being able to lose it again. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to go over too much more about the program. Really, it improves your health overall. So, my clients see things like improved sleep, improved energy. They look healthier. Their skin looks healthier. Obviously, their waist size starts getting smaller. All kinds of great things happens. Fewer aches and pains. Most, if not all, people I work with have fewer cravings very quickly. Um, and they really just learn how to eat in a way that's going to sustain weight loss for the rest of their lives. And there's no counting calories. Like, I don't count calories with people. I personally don't count calories, and I never would want to. It sucks. Watching every single little thing that you eat is stressful. Eating shouldn't be stressful. You should be able just to eat whole, healthy food, make the right choices, and not have to worry so much about how many calories something is or having to weigh something. That's just not. It's just not a way to live. The other thing is that there are no crazy workouts. I'm not a fitness instructor, but also you really can lose weight without doing crazy workouts. I've had someone lose over almost 55 pounds since February, and they're just really walking, and not that much, like walking 2,000 steps a day, because that's where they're at. That's how much they can walk. So even if you are in a position where you've hurt yourself, where you're not very mobile, you can still lose weight. And the reason for that is that weight loss, the root cause of weight gain is unbalanced blood sugar, and you do not need to exercise to fix your blood sugar. Yes, movement is good. Yes, exercise is good. Yes, I promote, daily movement and walking. But if you cannot do those things, if you can't do the walking, if you can't do any of that stuff, you can still lose weight. So, yeah, basically, everything gets better. You get weight loss, you get reduced cravings, you get reduced hunger, your fatigue disappears, there's no metabolic syndrome anymore. So things like high cholesterol, diabetes, all that stuff should go away. Your sleep gets better, you have reduced stress, your body is burning fat instead of storing it, which is the ultimate goal, obviously. You have no more belly fat, no more aches and pains, and your muscle strength is better and more energy. So those are all the things. I'm not going to go over this stuff tonight. I don't feel like it. But basically, if you want a quick fix, my program is not for you. If you want a quick fix, working with me at all is really not for you. It's sometimes a very slow process for people. So it's really, it's for people who are committed and who want a complete approach, who want a holistic approach, and who really want to take the time and make the effort to change their lives. And you really need to be coachable. You need to be able to take direction from me, because there are going to be points in time, if you're working with me, that maybe you're going to feel like you're not getting anywhere. And I'm going to tell you, well, first of all, I'm going to analyze what you're doing. I'm going to look at what you ate for the last 3 days, and I'm going to, make sure that you're doing the right things. But if you are doing all the right things and you're not losing any weight, I'm going to say something to you like, it's going to take time and you need to believe me. So even if you don't believe me, you need to believe me and keep doing it. So you really have to be committed, and you need to be coachable. You need to be able to take direction, and you need to really be able to wrap your head around the fact that everything you've been taught about dieting and everything that you've been taught about losing weight is not applicable to you as an older man. It does not work. So, you know what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then if anybody who's on the Zoom with me wants to ask some questions, you can show yourself if you want to. I'm actually just going to I'll turn off the recording first. So thank you for everyone who's watching this on Facebook after I post it.